The great poet Rabindranath Tagore was once asked by a Westerner how that person should know more about India. Rabindranath gave a very simple answer. He said, study Vivekananda. It's very interesting because Vivekananda encapsulates the entirety of Indian civilization. He bridges the past, the ancient, and the future. And Vivekananda bridges the East and the West. He was India's messenger to the West at a time when these two worlds were pretty apart. So Vivekananda is a person for every reason, for every season. And there's nobody better than him to teach us about what true leadership and true human excellence is. You see, there's a reason why great people of his time, such as Jamshed Tata, John D. Rockefeller, Tesla, and so many others followed Vivekananda. He knew about human excellence in all spheres. From the mystical to the material, he guided people onto excellence of mind, body, soul, but also he charged up the atmosphere for people to excel in all their karmas, their duties, their performing of task and work in the world. And you know, Vivekananda always led from the front. His personal example. He was not just a monk. He always believed in being proactive. For example, there was a great plague epidemic in 1898. And in Kolkata, he personally supervised the work. He also published the Plague Manifesto. Friends, the idea is that in moments of tough times, crisis situations, Vivekananda showed that one part is wisdom, yes, but the other part is being out there, leading from the front. I feel every entrepreneur in the world, every leader in the world, no matter what position of leadership you are in, you could be part of a team, you could be heading an organization, you could be looking at making a startup. Always absorb lessons from Vivekananda, and we will explore the key secrets to excellence, to leadership, to greatness in life through the awesome personality, the ultimate teachings of Swamiji. Vivekananda gives us a great secret, a foundational secret for excellence in leadership. He says, the very secret of existence is to have no fear, never fear what will become of you. This is very important. For a person who's looking to be an entrepreneur, the main thing is that risk-taking ability. The main thing is courage. If that is there, everything flows. If that is not there, nothing really happens. You have to be courageous. That's the first secret. The second secret is self-belief and faith. And Swamiji teaches that if faith is absent, nothing truly works. Think about it, my friends. Faith, self-belief, belief that the universal power is with you, that leads to great things. That is the feeling of optimism that a leader must feel within and inspire in others. It is the very root of everything. So today resolve to yourself that yes, I will be filled with self-belief. In any situation in life, it is the people who believe in themselves who excel. Think about a person in sales or marketing. It is their belief which appeals to the other person. If you have belief in your product, yourself, the other person will believe you as well, right? So make yourself determined that no matter what, you'll be firmly established in your self-belief. And also the belief that divine power is with you, within you. That way, that is a very root secret of attaining and doing those seemingly impossible tasks. You see, when Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay first climbed Mount Everest and came back, there were a lot of interviews. And you know what Sir Edmund Hillary said? He said, it is not the mountain we conquer, it is ourselves. So the first battle is within, same like the Bhagavad Gita. The real battle is in Arjun's heart and mind. And there Sri Krishna takes him towards victory, Jaya. So that battle can be won by you. External battles are just external. Your real foundation to victory, the real warrior is one who has self-belief. A warrior who's entered the battlefield thinking that he may lose has already lost the battle. You see? So to be able to fight the battle well, no matter if your battle is in the boardroom, it is in the stock market, it is in your sales and marketing, it is in your personal relationships, always invest yourself. That is, place the bet on yourself. Yes, I am a child of this wondrous cosmos. Through me, great things are possible. That leads to optimism within you and optimism around you. And an entrepreneur or a leader, take a political leader, is building optimism in others. That's why people follow you, right? Remember this golden principle, this golden key. It is a key which opens all locks. Following from these two great secrets, we come to the third secret. Swamiji used to say, never think you are weak. That is the secret of strength. If you think you are weak, you will behave weakly. If you think you are strong, you will behave strongly. Think of yourself. If you just say to yourself, I am weak, I am weak, I am weak, your whole body language will be closed. You will not be charismatic. If just say to yourself, I am strong, I am filled with strength, I am strong, and you'll feel your body also changing, your body language. You see, most of our communication is non-verbal. It comes from your feeling inside. And you must positively reinforce yourself. Positive reinforcement is what? Telling yourself, reminding yourself that you are strong. Through that, everything becomes possible. It's about your thought process. We have discussed this in other segments. Gautam Buddha used to say, as your thoughts, so your life, so the world. Henry Ford, the founder of Ford Motor Company, used to say, you think you can, you think you can't, either way you'll be right. It's all about your belief. Okay? So, establishing this idea that you are not weak in any manner. Yes, there are moments in life, especially during tough times, when we feel, how will we manage? We are not capable. How will I face this challenge? The first thing to do is remind yourself, stand up tall, remind yourself, broaden your shoulders. Think how much gifted you are. There are so many things you've been gifted with. Your mind, your heart, which can manifest great qualities. You've been given a body which is capable of doing so much good. You know, in ancient Indian mythology, we used to say, there's a saying that God doesn't have own hands. He works through your hands. And remember, in these hands, you can manifest the power of universe itself. We live in such a magnificent creation. We are filled with so much. We are each unique. Never believe yourself to be weak. Reinforce every day in every way. I will be stronger and stronger. Knowing that, you become an example for others, and through this you'll find a very strange thing happening. Notice it. People start becoming attracted to you. You see, people are attracted to strength. People are attracted to self-power. It's not the position so much. It's about your personal charisma. First, be the best you have to be, right? Then people will spontaneously respond to you. That is the secret of magnetism. Think about somebody charismatic that you've met in your life. Somebody you feel attracted to. Somebody you consider your icon. They manifest strength. Be like that. Swami Vivekananda was talking about human consciousness. And in that respect, there are three things he said. He said, that person who helps you, never do anything wrong against them. That person who loves you, never hate them. And that person who trusts you, never cheat them. And that is the way you build your reputation in the world. You see, when I talk about leadership, I talk about values-led leadership. Leadership with integrity. I'm not talking about the kind of leadership which takes advantage of others, no. A good leader, in my point of view, is one who has the seva bhava. All good things come from that. And coming back to these 3 rules of Vivekananda, always acknowledge those who help you. They are doing it. They are your biggest ally in life. Sometimes we forget those who've helped us in the past. And you know what? That is creating bad karma. Create good karma. When you help someone or someone helps you, it's a circle of trust. That is the best way. When you do something good for someone, it will always be remembered. Even if it's not remembered, it doesn't matter. The idea is that you'll become a person who becomes trustworthy. And if you want to be a horse for the long course, that is what you must build in life. Number 2, he says, those who love you never hate them. You see, sometimes we forget. We've been given so much love by our parents. We've been given so much love by our mentors. That's why we say that elders, first of all, we must reciprocate our love. And love is a very interesting thing. The more you share it, the more it grows. And a lot of us think love is this, very soft kind of a quality. No. Love is said in Indian spirituality to be the very core of existence itself. Sri Ramakrishna used to say that prema or love is within our very marrow. And the whole idea of Krishna worship, for example, is all about prema. It's all about love. It's love for the divine. It's love for the universe. It's love for the work you do. And when you love the work you do, when you love the product you build, when you love the service you're offering, naturally it flowers and fructifies. So love. Invest yourself in love. A lot of the times you notice yourself, you invest yourself in hatred, I don't like this person. I don't like this thing. That blocks you out. Love opens you out. Suddenly you realize it's a friendly attitude to the world, Doesn't mean you have to love everybody, but your attitude in life becomes a friendly attitude. That is called the attitude of metta, friendliness in Buddhism also. And metta is the best way to relate to the world. You'll notice that truly dynamic leaders have this ability to cultivate good friendships. You've seen that, right? Cultivating good friendships is the key. So even if it's not prema, it's a sneha, an affection, an affectionate feeling. And people reciprocate you with love. You'll see big icons had that ability. People invested a lot of affection in them. And the third thing is never cheat those who trust you. Of course, if you cheat those who trust you, then don't get surprised if you are cheated. You know what I mean? All of us in some way get cheated in life. But it's better, to be trusting. And you see, trust is what? Like I was giving you the example. You have a great product. Why will a customer trust your product? It's all about building trust, right? And brands which endure have the trust factor at the highest level. So when you're building your product, you're offering your service, you are inspiring somebody to purchase or buy into what you have, or you're getting somebody to invest in your company, it's all about that circle of trust. And once it is established, you have to keep working at it. The iPhone is a good example. Why do they have such a dedicated following? Every time they come up with a new phone. Because it's that trustworthiness. Means a company has won one customer one time and that customer has remained with the company. I mean, how much through that lifetime a person is going to invest? They put their money where their mouth is, right? So that is what trust does. Be more trusting in life. The universe has given you so much. Always trust the divine, that whatever happens will be for the good. Always trust your team. You can be strict. You can take the right measures that need to be taken, but invest your mind and heart in trust. That opens up your personality. I found something which Vivekananda said very interesting. He says, always present yourself to be happy. Happiness. If you present yourself to be happy, you'll realize from within also it will become part of your personality. In other words, don't have a gloomy sort of an outlook in life. Remind yourself that yes, I should be happy. It's the quality of ananda. Ananda means working with happiness, manifesting happiness, and happiness is yours. Happiness should not just depend on outer circumstances. Happiness is an inner quality. In Indian mythology, we say ananda or bliss, ultimate happiness, is the very foundation of existence itself. It is the basis of the cosmic matrix. It exists within you as your abiding quality. We have spoken about Ram in another segment. The word Ram itself comes from blissfulness. So we must remember that if we are not presenting ourselves as happy, why will the other person also take interest in us? Think about it. The people who make the best pitches, sales pitches, marketing pitches, ideas, you'll always find they're exuding some sort of happiness about their product, about their service, about themselves. And you see, happiness is a very contagious sort of a quality. You see, some people when they come into a room, you'll see, they create a vibe of happiness. Why is it? Because they're sharing their inner happiness. It's just a vibe. It's a feeling. It's unexplained. So when you manifest bliss more and more in what you do, ananda in what you do, you automatically become empowered. Not only do you empower yourself, you empower others. Remember this always. Swami Vivekananda is unique. He has a different view of life because he is able to reconcile the seemingly opposite aspects of life. You see, we think our spiritual life is one place, our material life is one place, our work is one place. But Swamiji says something very interesting, which is why I love him a lot. He teaches us some behavioral patterns which we can implement in our life, which will make us much happier and more productive, more clear in the head, better decision makers and more dynamic. He says, even those who are not good to you, those who revile you or do something bad to you, bless them also. He says, when you do that, you attain a great power. First of all, you realize that you are not the ego. You are beyond the ego. Don't be so egoistic. Somebody said this, somebody said that. Because that will trap you. That will inhibit you. You see, we say in Indian spirituality, we say ahamkara is the most limiting factor. It seems like it's making you bigger, the superiority complex you may have. But its ego is very fragile. It makes you weak. You see? So the non-egoistic person is stronger. That is what Bhishma tells Yudhishthir when Yudhishthir is asked by Sri Krishna to ask what truly being a king means. Remove the ego. Don't get hurt by people just because they've said something seemingly hurtful. And then you'll realize they have no power to hurt you. By being hurt or feeling bad about something, you're giving the other person the power over you. Remove that power. Come on, be your own person. That is the way a person can function in tough times in the face of challenges. Then nothing can stop you. Then, they say, the dog barks, the elephant walks on. It's a practical sort of a philosophy in life. It's not just like that. It changes your behavior. It changes your outlook in life. Suddenly you realize you're a true king at heart. You see, a weak king is somebody who has a fragile ego. Some counselor has said this and his ego is hurt, so the good decision does not happen. That means you're not a good listener. Listen to criticism. But, the criticism which is not helpful, like a duck's back, they say the water, just let it go. The water comes, just let it go. And absorb that which makes you stronger. Okay? Swami Vivekananda explains ancient concepts in a very modern way. You see, he takes us from the paradigm of ancient beliefs to what we should be like in today's contemporary age. He says, like for example, about karma. What are good karmas? What are bad karmas? I like his simple take on these things. He says, there's no need to hate anybody. Hatred creates karmic bondage of hatred. Okay? Rather invest yourself more in love. We have already discussed this before. I'm trying to say is that your action has a reaction. Your feelings have a reciprocal circle of feeling they create around you. So if you have too many dislikes, I don't like this person, I don't like that person, or you hate someone, remember sometime it's going to come back to you. That is what the theory of karma means, right? Achhe karm karo, but it's not just the work you do. It's the feeling, the attitude that you take in life. Remember, with good feelings, the circle of karma rewards you. That is positive karma. That is not negative. So always see, action is inevitable. All of us will feel one mood or the other. We keep going between moods. We are happy, we are sad, we are dejected, we are optimistic, we are hopeless, we are hopeless. We are hopeful, we are hopeless. Stuff like that. But remember, below that undercurrent of your personality, make it such. See, Vivekananda talks about the basic personality of yourself. Make it happy, make it non-hateful. Then you'll feel the whole burden has gone off your shoulder. We waste too much energy in life disliking people, disliking things. Leave all that. That gives you freedom. In Indian spirituality, we say that the ultimate is mukti moksha. That is freedom. But first, free your mind, of all this excess baggage, non-productive baggage of, I don't like this, I don't like that. It doesn't mean you have to like everybody to the equal degree. The whole point is, it's about your own personality, your own self-potential being rooted in the seed of positivity. That is what in modern parlance we call the positive mental attitude. Through that, even positive body language, positive living. That is what is emphasized. Swamiji talks about truly master keys to leadership. He says, when being a leader, be a servant. Be a servant means what? Mentally you have the attitude of serving. That is the idea. It's not literally being a servant. It's the idea of serving. And he says, then success will surely be yours. So it's the seva bhava again which we've talked about. The idea of serving. And though that's the way Swamiji looked at himself. You see, had Swamiji wanted, he could have stayed at one place and he could have got a huge following. In New York, he had become very famous. John D. Rockefeller had come to see him once, in fact. And John D. Rockefeller was pretty egoistic. And that time, Swamiji was not so famous. Anyway, he was staying in a mansion in a friend's house. And John D. Rockefeller came. He was well on his way to becoming the richest person in the world. And the butler was asked, where is this Swamiji from India? And he said, he's in the study. And John D. Rockefeller went there. And Swamiji didn't even look up from the desk. He was writing a letter. And Rockefeller was not used to that kind of thing. He was used to people standing up. Even governors and statesmen standing up before him, okay? So he sat down and he said, do you know who I am? And Swamiji looked up at him and he says, I know who you are and I know why you've come here. So Rockefeller was shocked. He said, what? He said, yes. And then Swamiji gave him the lesson of what true leadership. And he told Rockefeller, he said, you think you've earned all this on your own? He said, no. You have been placed in trust. Existence has given you a lot of wealth. Existence has given you an opportunity. Now you must serve. You must serve people. And from then on, the seed of the Rockefeller Foundation was planted in John D. Rockefeller's mind. And Rockefeller has been a name to reckon with. It's a name of great honor because the Rockefellers have had a tradition of philanthropy. And through that, the American philanthropy, the example through Warren Buffett, Bill Gates and so on was established. So Swamiji at that root level, through that teaching of that service bhava, that seva bhava, changed the landscape of how capitalists in the West used to look at leadership. And such a big industry leader who everybody already respected, but it was a shift in attitude. That's all that is needed. Similarly, on the ship to Japan on Swamiji's first voyage, he was booked in the first class and Jamshed Tata was wondering who's this youngster, this young boy in a monk's robes. Swamiji was in his 20s. And he started talking to him, and because it was a sea voyage, they kept talking. And Jamshed Tata, while he was a very successful trader by then, but he had not become the industrialist philanthropist that we know today. There was no real Tata group as such, right? With that expanse of, good things created for society. And Swamiji changed his mindset. And through that, the seed of, first of all, Tata Steel Jamshedpur was born. So on the one hand, encouraged him to form the Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore, through which India's greatest minds, some of India's greatest scientists have been produced, and it's a truly world-class institution. In other words, through a change of values, Jamshed Tata formed the very basis of the Tata Group, and it's become one of the world's largest conglomerates with so much respect. Thought leadership. So the leadership I'm talking about, my friends, is not just being a leader. It's about the fundamentals of thought leadership. Be a thought leader. No matter today if you run a small company or you have a job of a particular nature, in your mind be that thought leader. You see, I've noticed, I've gone to many organizations and I've realized people in the so-called lower rungs often are better thought leaders than people at higher rungs. Why? Because they do their job with this sincerity. They do their job with this idea that they'll be the best at what they do. So it all begins in the mind. Be a thought leader. Remember, existence has given you a great chance to do something unique in the world. Take full advantage of that. Always move towards being the best you can be. Swamiji's teachings are very practical. He says, do one thing at a time and then success shall be yours. It's about that laser beam concentrated focus. Invest yourself in that one thing and success. You know, there's an incident when he was relatively unknown in America. Later on, he became very famous in America. There was this group of boys who were teasing him, you know. And because obviously he was in a dress which was kind of very foreign to them, his appearance with that magnificent turban and so on. And they were actually just shooting at some ducks in the water. Okay? And they were not, the aim was not good, and they were teasing Swamiji who was passing the bridge. And then Swamiji said, may I try? And they said, what will he shoot? He's so strange. And he took that little gun and he said, I will not kill a duck. But he pointed at a target even further away. He said, I'll hit that. They said, no, it's not possible. It's difficult enough to aim as it is. But he, being the monk, he just took it and he fired and it hit the focus. It hit that. And they were very enamored. They said, but how did you manage? There's so much wind. And he says, when I do something, I put my entirety of my mind to it. And they were very happy. So that way, you know, through small incidents in America, he influenced people. We only hear of the larger stories. Okay, the address, the World Parliament, Chicago, you know, brothers and sisters and brothers of America. But Swamiji was a person who through small moments influenced people in many ways. The idea of focus is very interesting. Focus means, we've heard of the story of Arjun, right? When during the Swamvar, when he was asked to shoot at the eye of the fish. So it's the idea where the most accomplished warrior, the most accomplished archer almost forgets themselves. That is the state of flow. In Zen, it's called the state of effortless effort, where you forget yourself. And you must have realized, friends, when you do a task with a lot of diligence, with putting your heart, mind, body, soul into it, you forget being tired. You are able to do it to a degree of perfection where you yourself are surprised. And many hours go by, you continue doing it. Why? Because you have forgotten yourself. Otherwise, we are too self-conscious. Focus means such focus that the task remains and the person doing the task disappears. It's a way of saying, like in Zen they say, for a good writer, you know, friends, I write some books, I try to implement this. For a good writer, the writing remains, the writer disappears. You see, for fresh ideas to flow, if you're just thinking about yourself, how I'm feeling, how I'm not, nothing new will happen. The truly innovative thinkers, the truly creative thinkers, reach such a state where they're able to become almost like, you know, like a receiver where good ideas, and you know, you'll be surprised, a follower of Swamiji, Nikola Tesla, we've heard about one of the greatest scientists of all time, right? So fundamental for today's, for today's civilization. So many inventions he created, his ideas of free energy, his advanced ideas on electricity, the whole debate of alternate current and direct current which he had with Edison. So Tesla is taken to be a genius's genius, a person who is prolifically inventive. You know what he used to say? He used to say that I don't have ideas, the ideas just flow through me. And I found it very interesting. I was watching the Joe Rogan podcast. He was talking to Elon Musk. Okay? And Elon said something very interesting. Elon said that he doesn't know but how from a very early age he should just be flooded with ideas. Flooded with ideas. Elon doesn't take the credit for those. He doesn't say, oh, I was thinking and I had the idea. It's almost like he became a channel for those ideas. And he says, I can't sit still. I have to make them into reality. You see what I'm talking about? As in, he says there's something, he's hinting at something greater. It's coming like a gushing river. But we have to be able to receive it, being receptive in life. Just having our own ideas and shutting out the world doesn't. The whole idea, open out yourself. You see, when we pray, we do this. Or when we are ecstatic in Vaishnava worship, we do this. You become a receptacle, right? God, let your power flow through me. You see? You've seen in the Hare Krishna movement, right? So it's like this. It's open. Open yourself more. And even if you don't believe in a particular God, try it. Open out your hands like this. Oh, it's a blissful feeling. You can feel the energy, the current of the universe flowing through you. All good ideas, all good strength, all good power. Try it. These are very powerful things. They're not just like that. So truly successful people, whatever field they are in, even great scientific minds, a lot of their work has come out of this intuitive ideation which has flowed through them, and the idea is so strong that they implement it in reality. You see what Musk is saying? He's not saying, oh, he's a hard worker and, he's saying, I just get the power of these ideas and then obviously you'll do the right thing, right? Hard work comes through that inspiration. So first that 1% inspiration and then that 99% perspiration, which Edison says. But the other way is not, in today's world we have so many distractions, so many things going on. Always invest yourself in inspiration. Look at everything that you're doing as inspirational. When you can inspire yourself and inspire others, how can success be far behind? Think about your own profession. What profession are you in? Think about it. If today you feel inspired and you can inspire 10 other people, I feel that sale will be made. That task will reach to a different optimum. And not only that, the greatest reward, you'll feel good, you'll feel great. So feeling great is very, very important within yourself. It's a non-egoic sort of a greatness. It's not about feeling great about who you are, etc. No. It's about feeling great about this universal power which is flowing through you and which flowed through Swamiji like a torrent, like a waterfall. And through that he inspired the world. Sri Aurobindo was once asked, he says, you said Swamiji came and visited you after his death in Alipur jail and he taught you so many things. He says, but Swamiji never said exactly what you're saying. He says, no, Vivekananda, a true yogi, is like an iceberg, 10% above, 90% below. And he described Vivekananda in that way. The idea is that the true roots are underneath, the true magnificence of your being. You see, in neuroscience, we are increasingly told that we use a very small part of our brains. Correct? You must have read it somewhere. A very small fraction. Through inspiration, what happens is your whole being starts working to a more optimum degree. And it's interesting because brain mapping has been done on people in meditative states and so on. What we call the alpha waves. You must have heard about it, right? The mind working in an alpha state of mind. Alert, relaxed, but meditative and open to ideas. Not confused, clear. So in an alpha state of being, people's productivity always rises. This happens in all spheres of life. Mozart, music, Bach, etc. These people used to go into an ecstatic sort of a feeling. Rabindranath Tagore, the poet. But why that? You look at any breakthrough in science and technology also, you'll find this spark within people. Where have these small ideas that have changed the world, our internet age of today, where have they been born? Some of them have been born in dorm rooms. Stanford, etc. Dorm rooms, just boys. You can look at any. You can look at Google, you can look at Facebook, you can look at Twitter. All of them have this. You can look at the Hewlett Packards of the world, Apple, both sides. Product, service, mass media, digital age, whatever you look at. So invest yourself in these qualities. Vivekananda talking about qualities. Through good quality will flow good work. Simple. Quality of being, quality of consciousness. Keep that pristine, keep that powerful. Swami Vivekananda always used to express himself in a witty manner. A lot of people who've known him used to talk about his wit, his sense of humor. His, very nice way of saying things. For example, he says, talk to yourself once a day, else you will miss meeting an excellent person. Such a nice way to say something, right? Talk to yourself at least once a day, else you'll miss meeting an excellent person. In other words, my friends, you are excellent. It's just that you haven't internalized, gone into yourself. There is excellence at the very root of you. It just needs to surface. Okay? But what is Swamiji saying? Talk to yourself. Talk to yourself means what? It's like a quality of dhyana, meditativeness. Just be within your being. And then you'll find that you're able to catalyze your internal abilities. You see, it's like an ocean. You have to dive deep, right? To get the pearls, as they say, on the ocean floor. Similar is our mental makeup, our constitution. Deep within us, we have to dive. So going deeper and deeper into yourself. Sri Ramakrishna, who is Swamiji's Vivekananda, used to say, dive deep, dive deep, dive deep within yourself. Because there lies the treasures of your soul. Right? And talking about Sri Ramakrishna's great better half, wife, Ma Sharda Devi, before Swamiji was going on to the West for the first time, he went to her for advice. Sri Ramakrishna, of course, had passed on. And he came to her and she was in the kitchen area. She was just helping the ladies with some cooking. And he told her, he said, Mother, I'm going to the West, I need your blessing. She didn't say anything. She said, Naren. His name was Narendranath. She said, Naren, can you give me that knife from there? And Swamiji gave the knife to her. And she looked at him and she said, don't worry, you will be successful. Very successful. He said, Mother, why are you saying that I just give you a knife? She said, no. You took the knife and you held it by the blade and you gave me the handle side. You're so thoughtful, Naren. You are there to serve the world. He said, so that I don't get hurt by chance, you held it. She says, you are your master's true disciple. Just have this bhava, this seva bhava of doing good and better. And you will succeed. And Sri Ramakrishna, Swamiji's master, was very unique. He had disciples of all kinds, For each disciple, he had a different discipline. For Naren, he didn't prohibit him from doing anything. Because he said, Naren, from within you have that strength, that power. Only vow which Vivekananda used to say, he says, I have no restriction, I'm a brahmachari, I'm celibate. So somebody in the West was once teasing him, a lady. I think it was Mrs. Oli Bull, he used to call her mother there in the West. So she said, but how will you resist the onslaught of so many women fans that you have? He said, Mother, I have lived in palaces. And he says, all night, even slave girls used to fan us. That time, there were no electric fans. He says, when I didn't give in to temptation, then what will I give in now? So he had that internal strength. Vivekananda is all about internal strength. And today I'm going to share in public for the first time a story, my friends. When I began my writing career, my writing journey, of course I used to contemplate Ganeshji just for this new beginning to my life, this new chapter. But one day in the morning I got up and I just composed something. I just did some writing very fast. It was a lot of material and it was on Swami Vivekananda. And in the evening somebody just casually mentioned, oh, do you know today is Swamiji's birthday? So I was quite stunned because this is the first time I had put in, all my notes and all that I had put in some order, and I realized 3-4 chapters were already composed. So what I'm saying is, these yogis, these rare ones like Swamiji, they work in divine ways. We must always heed their message. The problem is, in today's world, we look at religion as religion, spirituality as spirituality, and practical life as practical life. But you know the secret of yoga, the secret of our ancient ideas of the rishis was a completeness of being. It was not just about belief in God, no. It was about from yourself, self-realization, Atma Bodha. Even if you don't believe in an external God, believe in that Atma Bodha, that Jyoti, that light, that Prakasha within you. That is the divine spark within you. As they say that you are made of the same stuff as the stars and the galaxies are made, always believe that, always remember that. Then you will become like a shining star in your own life. And people will automatically respond well to you. And when people respond well to you, the circle of success is complete, right? Isn't that what it's all about? We live in an age of networking. We say, oh, how do we get more followers? Or how do we... All these efforts really stem from these basic principles about your self-realization. Realize yourself to be magnificent and you shall become, but without ego. Free your mind, free yourself from any limitation that you've held. Swamiji has proclaimed, stand up, be bold, and take the whole responsibility on your own shoulders. That is the ultimate leadership credo. I have found no better leadership credo in life than this. The ability for that person to be able to take the whole responsibility on their own shoulders. That is what distinguishes a true leader from somebody who's only pretending to be a leader. You see, we have a lot of leaders in the world of today who are egomaniacs. We can see the world is unreally today. There's a question of nuclear Armageddon. You see, what happens is people lose their sense of responsibility. Responsibility means I am ready to shoulder the duties to make others better, to make myself better. This idea of responsibility is really the essence of good and great leadership, inculcated deep within your being. And remember, your shoulders are strong. We often think, oh, we can't shoulder this responsibility. Try it and you'll become, it's a habit. You'll become stronger and stronger. And you'll notice some people, they have this ability. No matter what, they'll say, no, sir, I'll do it. I'll do it. I'll be there in front. You realize the level of trust it builds in you. You realize that, there's this old story about this general on the battlefield. He wanted volunteers for a very dangerous mission. So there was a line of soldiers and he said, I want those who volunteer to come forward and I'm giving you 2 minutes to think about it and come. And he came back after 2 minutes. He'd just gone into his office and he came back. And he saw they're still standing in the same line. And he said, you all are cowards, you all are cowards. Not one of you has moved. And then the sergeant told him, no, sir. Actually, he realized they've all moved forward. It just looks to you that no one moved forward. They all volunteered. And he got emotional. He said, see, then we can never be defeated. Even if you're defeated in battle, but we've already won the battle. What boys you are. Each one of you has volunteered. So volunteer yourself to the task. Put yourself on the front line. It's a great empowering feeling. It's a feeling of heroism. You see, what is heroism? When we say Sri Ram is a true hero, he puts himself right in front. So that is the manifestation of greatness, right? And you know what it does? It gives you a good feeling. If you feel heroic from within, it's like, an entrepreneur's journey is like sailing into unknown waters. You have to keep discovering new lands. You have to go into uncharted waters, so to speak. And Swamiji is taking us towards uncharted waters. Keep exploring your self-potential. If you don't discover, see the old paradigm of the entrepreneur, which I think is kind of relevant today, is those explorers who used to venture out into the ships, finding new treasures, discovering new lands. So the entrepreneur of today is somebody who has to find those new lands. And he has to bring that news of that new land to people. so that they're interested in it and they migrate there, or they're interested in trading with it, or they have some sort of an interlocution with it, some sort of an interchange with it, right? That is what creates a new marketplace, isn't it? So be like that. It's the spirit of the adventurer. I admire people like Richard Branson, Musk, Jeff Bezos. Now Jeff Bezos does do those risky missions. He's going here and there. They're not just sitting on their laurels. Richard Branson, of course, Virgin Atlantic, is well known. Right from the 80s, he used to continue on these adventurous journeys. You know, those hot air balloons. Then recently, he'd gone up above the stratosphere and all that. The idea is that it's the idea of heroism. So on one hand, you'll think he's a good business leader. He's not only a good business leader. See what all he's doing. First of all, he's manifesting that quality of heroism. He's not saying, oh, it's all about my wealth and I'll enjoy it. Yeah, I'll buy a new car and I'll sit in my mansion. What is there to that, my friends? He's willing to even put his life at stake. And you know what it does? Think about how inspired his team gets. Heroes are always worshipped. You see, what happens, you look at Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, there have been many leaders. Or you look at Bhagat Singh. There have been many leaders, but you realize people always respect the most that personal heroism. That person even giving up their own being. I'm giving you an example of extremely, and Netaji, by the way, was very influenced by the Bhagavad Gita and by Swami Vivekananda, actually. Netaji was deeply, deeply influenced by Swami Vivekananda. He put Vivekananda into the field of action in the sense that he manifests. See, Swamiji was a monk. Swamiji used to never talk about political issues. He used to consider the whole world as his family. He was always talking about foundational things. Netaji took that to the political level and he proved that an Indian could raise such an army with true ideals. That is teamwork. You look at Netaji's Indian National Army, INA. The INA will always be remembered as true heroes. They may have lost a few battles, yes, but they won the war of the hearts. And you know, Indian independence, when Clement Attlee was asked in the 50s, what was the real reason of the British leaving India at that juncture? He said, you know, all this, the INA, then there was a naval mutiny. So when they realized that they were up against people who were ready to even sacrifice themselves, and you know how strong Netaji's leadership was. In Singapore, women coming with their jewelry and offering it. And he started a alternate government there. He printed his own currency there. He created an army which fought against formidable forces. So what I'm trying to say is that the person who's invested in that heroic attitude, and heroic attitude means doing the right thing, having a good heart, automatically you become heroic in the eyes of others. Manifest that and you'll find that you become hugely charismatic, hugely popular also. But popularity is not the aim, it is what kind also, right? So always strive to unlock. You see, courage in Indian spirituality is said to be already within you, but very few people unlock it. It is said that everybody has a reservoir of sahas within you. Sometimes, no, we don't use it the entire life. What a waste. Sometimes in crisis situations we use it. Sometimes you'll realize when you're faced with a tough challenge, suddenly you're able to do the task which you thought you'd never do. Right? That is it. That is the reservoir. You have to tap into that reservoir. Tap into it more and more every day and you'll feel great, empowered within, and you're able to, nothing uplifts people like courage. You know, you look at military history throughout the world. You look at, say, Alexander's speech to his troops when they were about to, pack up and move. They saw the courage in the person. They saw the integrity of leadership in the person, and they went on to conquer more territory. Whether you agree or disagree is not. The idea is that very basic idea that, for me to be a truly inspirational and successful person, I need to exude this heroic quality from within, which is invested with Sat Chit Ananda, truth, consciousness, bliss. That is the yogi. That is the yogic warrior, the spiritual warrior that Vivekananda is trying to make us. And you know what? Then your field doesn't matter. You could be a soldier, you'll fight in a different manner. You could be a painter, you'll paint in a different manner. You could be an entrepreneur, you'll innovate in a different manner. It's your quality of doing. In Zen they say, The actor changes, the action remains the same. Okay? And also that the work can be the same, but it can be done in different ways. So in Japanese culture, you will notice something very interesting. The tea ceremony. We are wondering, what is this tea ceremony? First, the kettle is boiled. The person sitting for the tea is just very quiet. You know what it is? The whole basis of Japanese culture is meditation. So when you're sitting there waiting for the tea, you put yourself in a calm state. And remember, samurai and all used to do it. Serious warriors, warlords, leaders. They used to sit, wait for the tea, silently, silent. Their being becomes silent. They hear the sound of the kettle boiling, the tea being whisked, the tea being poured. So in those few minutes, something within you settles. The Indian word guru, there are two interpretations. One is the one who takes us from darkness to light. The second is, you've heard of this word gurutvapurn, right? Weightage. So guru means the person who has that weight. And how does that weight come? By being settled into your being. By being settled into your being, by establishing yourself in your innate self nature, your swadharma. So Bhagavad Gita is all about swadharma. Establish yourself, Arjun, in that swadharma, then no sword can cut you. The water cannot harm you because you're established in your Atma, the power of your soul, the power of your Atma Bal. That makes you undefeatable. We all have defeats in the world. Sometimes we win, sometimes we lose. But inculcate the attitude of that spiritual warrior, the mystic warrior. Then within you, you never lose. You're always a winner. People talk about the art of winning, etc. No, the art of winning is within. Arjun has to win the battle within. When he wins the battle within, he wins the battle outside also. And he doesn't even care if the battle is lost or won. He fights the fight. And Krishna tells him, Arjun, get up and fight. And Arjun gets up. He gets up from that slump. He gets up and he becomes this magnificent warrior. Where does it come from? He realizes Swadharma. He realizes his Atma Bal. He realizes the divine power. And he gets up and he shoots his arrow. The same Arjun, till a few minutes back, completely defeated. The same guy becomes this ultimate paragon of leadership. And through his leadership, the whole Pandav army is lifted. You see, it's not about one warrior. Krishna tells him, Arjun, you'll be a bad example for everybody if you do this. And it's a fact. Without Arjun, the whole Pandav morale would have been finished. The whole army would have been scattered. The battle would have been lost before it started, my friends. So before the battle, like I told you, the samurai warrior, settling themselves, even through something as simple as drinking tea. Imagine, it's not what you do, it's the level of consciousness that you do it in. And the first level of consciousness is to go deeply within yourself, resolve to yourself, go deep, find your true nature, and let that explode into the world. It makes all the difference, my friends. Think if you're going for a really important investor meet. What do you think is the most important? Your business plan will remain the same as it was yesterday. What will be the true determinant? Your persona, your belief, your trust, your swadharma, your sense of mission, mission-oriented attitude. We can win, we will win. I've mentioned it elsewhere. Top athletes, before a great competition the next day, it's called self-visualization. They visualize to themselves that they're being victorious. In their mind, they can see themselves winning the race. Be like that. Then you're truly following Vivekananda. Swamiji's teachings are as much about the human mind as they are about the human soul. Okay? Now Swamiji says there is no limit to the human mind. The more you concentrate it, the more into focus you bring it, the greater it moves towards fulfillment. The idea that we are limited in being keeps us limited. Think about Swamiji's words. There is no limit to the human mind. He's talking about your mind, my friend. He's not talking about Albert Einstein's mind, by the way. Oh, very interestingly on Albert Einstein, 10 years before Einstein came up with relativity, Swamiji wrote about atomic theories in a New York journal. He was way ahead of his time. That's why I said he bridges the past and the future very beautifully. So he continues to be relevant. And what he's saying, there is no limit to the human mind, is not just true at a very spiritual level or at an ideational level. It's actually truly, that's why we talk a lot about artificial intelligence, but we are not even close to achieving the complexity of the human mind. That mind is within you. You're just bounding yourself with this idea that you are limited in being. You know, the great Raja Janak, Sita's father, who's said to be the greatest yogi in the world by Krishna, you know, a person who can do both rule the kingdom and also do service and also be a yogi at heart, was taught by the boy sage Ashtavakra. You are bound because you think you are bound. Invest yourself in consciousness and be free. In other words, the very limited idea of yourself is limiting you. Unlimit yourself, decondition your mind from this idea that I am limited, I can only do this much. You see, sometimes our school system has a problem which has inculcated this wrong idea into children that they evaluate themselves by the marks that they get in school. So some of us maybe who didn't do that well in a subject have this inferiority complex that, oh, we are not good enough for this task. But you realize another thing. Great entrepreneurs have proved by being dropouts. So many great entrepreneurs are dropouts, right? You've seen that. In Silicon Valley is full of dropouts. What does that prove? Our normal methods of evaluation are not really correct. Don't judge yourself by these conditioned patterns. How well I did yesterday, how well I did in this exam. No. That will limit your self-belief. That will make you feel that you're limited. And then you're not following Swamiji. To be a true follower of Swamiji, I tell you, you don't have to do any particular kind of worship or particular kind of meditation. Yes, be meditative as an attitude, that's one. But the main thing is, know that you are unlimited in mind. Swamiji was unshackling people from their self-imposed chains. We live in a golden cage made out of our own conditioning. Fly out of that cage. Free your mind, free your mind, free your mind. That is the mantra. When you free your mind, you realize yourself and you express yourself boldly in the world. You act boldly in the world. You inspire your team. You inspire people to believe in your vision, your mission, your startup. That is the very key to good communication. That is the very key to becoming somebody who is followed by others. You see, Swamiji appealed to people of all religions. That's the beauty about Swamiji. He never said you have to follow my religion. No. That's the fantastic part. He never tried to convert anybody to a particular sort of a practice. No. He was there to uplift everybody as much as they can. And you know, he said a very interesting thing. You cannot believe in God unless you believe in yourself. Think about it. Everybody has some kind of a belief in God. But see what Swamiji is saying is the opposite. You cannot believe in God unless you believe in yourself. Actually, because you can only believe in that higher power when you can believe in the power which is already in you. The power which is already in you. See that. Why? You don't have to believe in a higher power. Automatically you will become a true devotee of God if you believe in yourself first. Because God has invested you, right, with this body. You can call it God, you can call it the universe, you can call it existence. Think of the magnificent things you've already been given. Be grateful for that. Realize the power of that. Then you will be able to acknowledge with, and you know, prayer is all about gratitude. And gratitude begins where? When you acknowledge what you have. And what is acknowledgement of what you have? The power that you've been given. Everybody has different powers. We all have our own superpowers, right? That is the whole secret. You see, this whole Superman thing, I always say it's inspired by Hanuman, you know. You call it Superman, Batman. It's the story is, like Hanumanji forgot his own powers and then he realized his magnificence of his own powers in the same way. And he, of course, is beyond all limits. We have physical limits, yes. But in the domain of consciousness, in the domain of mind, in the domain of ideas, we don't have limits. The only limits we impose are our own, my friends. So, in a Superman story, we have that Clark Kent and that Superman. Avatar. It's very interesting. I find it very interesting in Western popular films how our Indian concepts have been used. In Star Wars, for example, the character of Yoda is literally an Indian rishi who's teaching wisdom. And through that, everybody gets empowered, right? And the courage to fight the evil. Similarly, the movie Avatar. Indian mysticism, Indian philosophy is so rich in mind and body and spirit concepts that it can take us to the highest level. And Swami Vivekananda is the most fresh example of that. He's still accessible just over 100 years back, right? So the idea I'm telling you is that believe in yourself, then the whole world starts opening up to you. I have another theory, We talk about, of course, the Dasha Avatar. But sometimes I feel, in a way, you are also, in some way, a manifestation, an emanation, or a small little avatar of the divine. The imprint of the ultimate is in you. You've forgotten that. There's that old story, searching for God. And a person goes searching for God and finally meets God in heaven and says that, but I spent a lot of time searching in you. He said, but you didn't have to search in me. I always lived in your heart. You see? So that is what Swamiji is reminding us of, the divine spark within you. Through that, everything becomes illumined. Everything becomes full of light. No matter what your pursuit in life, you manifest your highest leadership qualities. Finally, I'd like to conclude by saying this iconic line of Swamiji. Arise, awake, and stop not till the goal is reached. In other words, awaken yourself. Somebody asked Swamiji once, what is sin? He said, the greatest sin is thinking that you are weak. And the greatest sin is not having belief in yourself. So shed that. The real virtue in life, the real spirituality in life begins with trusting yourself, believing in yourself, and through that, believing in others, trusting others, having affection for others, investing yourself, heart, mind, body, soul, in totality with whatever you do. When you do that, not only do you feel good, feel great, you realize when you spend your entire energy on something, you feel good. Think about it. Say one day you played a football match in school where you gave your completeness. You're tired after that. Your body is tired. Your legs are tired. But that's a different level of satisfaction, right? So that is the way the yogi is. Actually, yogi is somebody who doesn't have to be practicing yoga as such. Yogic is the quality you bring into your work. So Swamiji's idea is to bring that yogic light into our work. So be a yogi in what you do. And being a yogi means investing yourself free of all conditioned patterns of thought, who you think you are. Remember, you are more than what your name is. Your name was given by your parents, right? Your personality, what others regard you. You are more than the clothes you wear, the seat you occupy, the designation you have. People say, oh, I'm this and this. Actually, you're not that. You realize that's just a man-made construct. In Indian parlance, it is, you are Atma Swarupa, Sukh Swarupa, Ananda Swarupa. You are the reflection of the divine, as Ram tells Hanuman also. Each being is a reflection of the divine, and never forget that. Remind yourself, I am Ananta Asesha in self-potential, just like the universe is. And through this feeling, you know what? You realize that a lot of effort that you've been wasting in life, it goes. You're able to float into whatever you do. You're able to glide. Friends, have you noticed one thing? Which bird flies the highest? The eagle, right? The eagle flies really high. But you realize that the eagle doesn't need to keep flapping the wings. The eagle glides, right? Because the eagle trusts the wind to take her where she goes. So trust this divine wind which is always blowing through existence. Float on that and Make that effortless effort by investing the totality of your energies, like Swamiji said, and then nothing can stop you. Om Tat Sat.